Well, good day, and welcome to our midweek devotion on this Wednesday, July 14th, here at Clear Lake United Methodist Church. For those of you that joined last week, we are beginning and continuing our journey through the book of Psalms. We covered chapter 1 last week, and today we will cover chapter 2 as I read from God's holy word. Psalm 2. Why did the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and his anointed, saying, "Let us burst their bonds asunder and cast their cords from us." He who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord has them in derision. Then he will speak to them in his wrath and terrify them in his fury, saying, "I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell the decree of the Lord. He said to me, 'You are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage, and the ends of the earth your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron, and dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel.' Now, therefore, O kings, be wise. Be warned, O rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, with trembling. Kiss his feet, or he will be angry and you will perish in the way, for his wrath is quickly kindled. Happy are all who take refuge in him." Several psalms are called messianic because of their prophetic descriptions of Jesus, the Messiah, the Christ. His life, his death, his resurrection, and future reign. This particular psalm describes the rebellion of the nations and the coming of Christ to establish his eternal reign. David may have written these words possibly during a rebellion by some of the surrounding heathen nations. Chosen and anointed by God, David knew that God would fulfill his promise to bring the Messiah into the world through David's bloodline. Now, people often think they will be free if they can get away from God. That seems to be the way of the world today. Yet when it comes down to it, we all inevitably serve somebody or something, whether a ruler, an organization, or even our own selfish desires. Just as fish are not free when they leave the water, we are not free when we leave the Lord. We can find the one sure route to freedom by wholeheartedly serving God. He, and only he, can set you free to be who he created you to be. And if you're paying attention as I read through this particular chapter, God laughs, not at the nations, but at their confused thought about power. It is like the laughter of a father when his 3-year-old boasts that he or she can outrun him or conquer him in a wrestling match. You see, my friends, every nation is limited, yet God is transcendent. You have to choose between the confidence in God or any nation. Choose God. For God is all-powerful. He created the world, and he knew about the empires of the earth long before they came into being. Our world has many leaders who boast of their power, who rant and rave against God and his people, who promise to take over and form their own empires. But God laughs because any power they have comes from him, and he can also take it away from them. So, my friends, we need not fear the boasts of tyrants because ultimately they are in God's hands. When it comes down to it, David's prophetic praise of the Messiah in his coronation truly was prophetic. You see, the rule of Christ described here began after his crucifixion and resurrection and will be fulfilled when he comes to set up his kingdom here on earth. And ultimately, in the last part of our reading today, to kiss his feet means to surrender fully and submit to the King. Christ is not only God's chosen king, he is also the rightful king of our hearts and lives. So, my friends, to be ready for his coming again, we must submit to his leadership each and every day. For in doing so, we can erase the fears of the world to truly follow God's call upon our lives and truly realize and proclaim that Christ is King. Thanks be to God, and amen.